back to the channel. My name is Fancy Ice 17 and I'll be your YouTuber today. So I wanted to use this short segment to really thank my support team over at the Tiger Den, Beta, Rack, Tiger, Pop-Tart, Baros. You guys have been really supporting me and helping me make this channel what it is. And I wanted to thank all of my new subscribers. It means a lot for me. You guys have come out and taken your time out of your day to watch my videos, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the VK4503, which was a prototype Tiger II tank, and we are going to look at the Tiger II itself. So the VK4503 was a improved project taking a Tiger I and a Panther and putting them together, which would eventually result in further development to create the Tiger II and the Panther II respectively. The Panther II would never see service. Henschel und Son began developing this project and this tank prior to the Tiger II being built. So this was essentially unifying the gap between a heavy and a medium tank. This was a actually built prototype tank. It is actually in a museum. And it was originally just an enlarged Panther, so it was just a bigger Panther, which is why it has this stance in the game. It has that early characteristics of a Tiger II. It carried a Porsche Tiger II turret, which is why you have that iconic, dopey-looking turret. It's kind of just funky to look at, though the one in the museum lacks its cupola. And its removable cover for, you were basically able to take the back of the turret off to refix another gun. So that was what was really unique about it. That was unfortunately lost to time, and in the museum it's replaced by a wooden cover. So the armor improvements that the failed artist decided to change about this tank was its frontal armor and its side armor. So he demanded that it was 150 millimeters on the frontal plate of the armor, and then it would be 80 millimeters on the side, which is what changed it from being just a bigger Panther to this kind of bulkier, slower tank that you see in the game and in real life. So there's not a whole lot of information about this tank that I could find. If anyone's capable of figuring out anything else, I would absolutely love for you to put it in the comments down below or reach out to me on Discord. But from a gameplay standpoint, this tank is lackluster, in my opinion. You have a Heavium gameplay style, but you don't have the armor to really deal with a lot of people. You really gotta somewhat over-angle your frontal plate. Maybe I just play this tank wrong, but in this gameplay you'll kind of see, one, I'm struggling with a lot of lag right now. Like right now I was trying to kind of push that thing, or the GFT over, that way I could kind of get to this Tiger Porsche that I knew was in the background there. I originally wanted to do a video on the Tiger I and the Porsche Tiger, because that was, Krupp and Porsche trying to figure out, together. They both wanted different designs for the tank, which never, obviously you see Tiger Porsche was kind of a failed tank, and the Tiger series in general was, they were overreaching their boundaries when it came to developing tanks, which is obviously a big reason as to why a lot of their tanks had manufacturing issues, malfunctioning transmissions, engine problems, going down the line with that kind of stuff. But back to the gameplay, this tank just has nice DPM, nice kind of pseudo mobility. The gun's very, very accurate if you're patient with it. Obviously, me, I'm not a super unicum. I'm not a horrible player, but I tend to panic when I'm by myself and kind of want to get really nervous and push past what I'm normally capable of handling. And that really affects my gameplay. As for this tank, it's okay. It's not bad. I like it, but, it has its downsides. I mean, you see the kind of the resemblance there between an early Tiger II, but it kind of reminded me of a prototype Panther, the VK02M, but kind of just bigger and chunkier. So now we're going to take a look at the Tiger II and kind of its development. So the Panzerkampfwagen Tiger Aus von B is just a really, really crazy tank. It was still designed by Henschel, and it was assembled in the Henschel plant. This tank was developed and built from 1944 in January to March 1945. Just under 500 of these were actually built and in the plant itself. While not many were actually built and used in service, they suffered from a lot of mechanical malfunctions, such as poorly built drivetrains, poorly built transmissions, engine issues. If you take a look at the Ferdinand, which was a spin-off of the Porsche, otherwise known as the VK4501, they suffered from mobility issues, maneuverability. They caught on fire. That's how bad this was starting to become later in the war. Although its very strong frontally sloped thick armor gave it a big advantage over some Allied encountering. It was rare to encounter just because there wasn't enough of them. They were made too late in the war to really make a difference. It weighed 77 tons, which was very, very big, and it used an underpowered engine, which means its mobility was just horrible. It suffered in most of its encounters that it had. The average statistic for an Allied, when you see the statistics, how many Shermans did it take to kill a Tiger? It was 1.45. That was done by the British reconnaissance scientists after the war. So this tank right here, it was huge, and it suffered from being overweight. It was so underpowered. There's actually reports that German sappers, engineers, had to reinforce bridges that these tanks had to go across because they weighed that much. They would break down or break the bridges, and the armor was actually discovered. While it was impenetrable to most firearms frontally, it was very prone to cracking due to how poorly built the tanks were. At the end of the war, Germany was, they were reduced to nothing. Allied bombing runs were destroying their factories, destroying their production lines, so these tanks had to be rushed. They had to be poorly maintained, and it's similar to how the Russian T-34s, they weren't built to last. It was a bad solution to a bad time, and it's unfortunate that, a lot of these tanks, everyone keeps them in high praise, and yes, they were superior tanks, but they suffered many different issues that made them inferior in the end. There's many pictures of these tanks being taken out frontally through its lower plate by American tanks, not German tanks, Russian tanks, British tanks. And while it was a superior tank, it suffered. From a gameplay standpoint, this thing is, in my opinion, broke. It's fun, and you can club a lot of people in it and just have a great time. It's a very nice grind to the E75, which the E75 plays very much like this tank. I don't have the E75 yet, but I've seen so many people use it that they play the same way. Strong frontal plate, strong lower plate, whole 9 yards. Very good gun, good alpha, good DPM, in my opinion, for a heavy tank. But that's going to wrap up this video for me. Stay cool, stay frosty, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.